Imagine you're walking down the street and you see this really attractive person walking towards you. And I mean, this person is gorgeous. Their sense of style is clearly amazing. You take one look at their face and they're just beautiful. So then that person gets closer and asks you for help. They say that they've lost something, they need help finding it. And well, you're a nice person, you think to yourself. So you say, sure, I'll help you. Where's the last place you saw it? Now let's think about this. Why did you help this person? I mean, they're a total stranger. You've never seen or met them before. So what happened? What you just experienced is something called the halo effect. Welcome to Stock Stories. All right. Welcome to Stock Stories, the show where we decode the business behind the stock. Hi, I'm Alex Mason, your stock storyteller. And my wife and I went from not knowing anything about investing to becoming financially independent by 30 years old. And my goal here is to empower you with the knowledge and the skills that you need to become a better investor in the stock market. Now, this is a show that explores the fundamentals of how businesses work and teaches you to become a better thinker. We're talking about every company in the S&P 500 and more. So you ready? Let's get into today's mental model episode. First things first. On this show, we talk about not only companies and stocks, but mental models too. Well, why is that? Well, a mental model is a thought experiment. It's kind of like a framework for how we think about different situations or problems, and they apply to many areas of life. And by the end of this episode, we'll explore how today's mental model applies to investing in the stock market. So, what is the halo effect? The basic definition is that this is a mental model where a positive impression of a person, a company, or some kind of a product influences your mind to automatically associate other positive things with that person, company, or product. For example, consider the scenario of the really beautiful person walking down the street towards you. Now, you don't even know them, but you decide to help them just because they look really good. That's because in our minds, especially with people, it's easy to associate beauty with other attributes. For example, we may think that this person is good, moral, or a nice person simply because of the way that they look. Now, remember, we might have absolutely no insight into this person's character or personality, but we just kind of go with it when they ask for something. This is the halo effect in action. Now, speaking of action, I would like you to take one small action and take 1 second to just tap that like button if you're getting value out of this episode. Thank you in advance so much. Let's discuss now how this mental model fits within the context of investing in the stock market. Now, we often assign a value or positive attributes to certain brands based on the way that we interact with them in our daily lives. So, for example, let's look at Apple. Apple, ever since the iPod came out many years ago, was considered a cool company. And ever since the iPhone came out, they've been even cooler, right? People literally stand in line for hours just for the chance to buy one of their products in person. Now, in my research, I found a survey that was conducted in 2018, and what it looked at was the relative income and usage habits of iPhone users versus Android users, because there are two main big operating systems on the market, right? You have iPhone with iOS, and then you have Android, which is manufactured by a lot of different manufacturers. Now, the survey found that iPhone users tend to be more extroverted, they tend to be more adventurous, they tend to make more money than their Android counterparts. Very interesting, right? Now, Apple as a company spends a lot of time and money on their marketing. Now, if we think about this and we connect it to what I just described from this survey, we can see that it becomes apparent that this type of person is exactly who Apple is targeting. They want customers who are fun, who are social, who are willing to spend more money on technology and on fashion. So remember the ad for the iPod, for example? Now, what does it make you think of? Remember the person in the silhouette, like dancing around with the music, and there's all these colors coming on the screen? That was an ad targeted toward extroverted people. Or how about the ad for the Mac when there was the Mac versus PC characters? You had one guy who was dressed up, pretty nerdy looking, and then you had another guy dressed up. He looked like a cool, pretty chill guy. And you look at their body language, you look at what they said. Apple was trying to communicate that a certain type of person buys their products while another type of person does not buy their products. Let's zoom out now and think about how this applies to investor psychology. So, think about the companies that you might consider investing in. Ask yourself the question: what kind of customers is the company targeting? Are the products and brands that this company is creating going to resonate with those people? And if so, how are they going to resonate? Take a look at Tesla, for example. They've already successfully branded themselves as a really sexy car company for affluent professionals. Or consider a brand like Nike. How many shoes with a check on them have you bought or have I bought because I saw an ad with a famous athlete sporting the same thing? Now, brand power is real, especially with consumer facing brands. So, as investors, we need to understand the effects that brands have on our current and future customers. And for example, we know that Apple is perceived as an attractive and cool brand by a lot of people. If we're considering investing in a company that, for example, partners with Apple on some product or event, that might give us some insight into how the brand might be perceived by others. Now, brand power in investing often leads to purchasing power, which ultimately means more money for shareholders when it flows to the bottom line. So, iPhones, as an example, are always going to cost more than their comparable Android phone. They just are. It's because of the halo effect. Buyers are going to place a premium on Apple's phones, not for technical or functional reasons, but because they represent something to them. They become a part of their identity. And identity is a very powerful thing and a psychological force that every investor should consider. So think about the halo effect the next time you are buying a product or you're thinking about investing in the stock of a company that offers some kind of a product in the consumer space. How are people perceiving that business? How are they perceiving that brand? That's going to have a big impact on whether they buy it or not. And in turn, that's going to impact the company's financials, right? So think about the halo effect. What are you and I associating mentally as a positive thing just because something else positive is associated with it? Something to think about. Now, I want to know what you think. What other companies do you see making use of the halo effect? Let me know in the comments below. And if you're hungry for more, I've created over 200 free podcast episodes on different companies and other mental models. So click the link in the description to check that out. And again, thank you so much. I'll see you on the next one.